may not be relevant to this case, but I'll briefly, in fact, made the amendment under which the elections were held. The council was not valid. It was not functional, according to them.
What do you mean by council?
The exact 20 days, and at the same time, your lordship remembers, round about that time, your lordship had decided that the elections will be held on 8th of February.
When was that?
Through a judgment that your lordship.
What was the date?
I'll just find out the date. I'll just find out the date. And so there was time constraint. We had 20 days and we were very scared, I may add, that if we don't hold the elections, then Election Commission of Pakistan may take action against the party and keep it out of the politics and the elections. So we decided that while we will be challenging the vires of that order, we should also comply. And so, your lordship, we held the elections, the second intra-party elections on 2nd of October 2023.
2nd of October or December?
2nd of December, sorry. 2nd of December. These elections, your lordship, were called in question. We filed the forms, 65, which is the requirement. We filed all the documents. But then 14 persons who alleged that they were members filed applications before the Election Commission. And in those applications, they said that these elections should be declared void and there should be re-election. This was their prayer. There should be re-election.
Complaints are on record?
They are on record. Your lordship, the ECP also raised simultaneously some technical points. These technical points related to dates, signatures, forms. That the signature is not right, please put a signature here. The date is not right, please put a date there. A notice was served on us that please come in. There's a hearing on the basis of these 14 applications. A hearing took place, and our basic stance was that these are not members.
Did you respond in writing or verbally?
Verbally.
When was the hearing?
It is mentioned in that order, it was 18th.
18th of?
December. So, your lordship, on the date that the hearing was finished, the Election Commission handed over 32 questions to us, that these are our questions.
Where are those?
Those are also on record.
Page?
A page, I think it's page. I'll just come to those pages in a minute, but I'm just giving a brief. Now, your lordship, the 32 questions were also answered in writing by us. And then the Election Commission of Pakistan passed this order dated 22nd 12/2023, in which two things happened. Number one, the election, intra-party election, was declared void. It was set aside by ECP. And then on this basis, the ECP went on to do a second thing, which is that it ordered that the symbol will not be given to PTI. Now, your lordship, this order in 22nd 12/2023 has been read before this honorable court. But I'd like, in the manner and conduct of the election itself. No irregularity or defect per se in the manner and conduct of that election has been pointed out. Number 3, they have accepted that Form 65 and all the documents as required by Section 209 have been duly provided. These 3 things are important for my arguments. IPE was held, they have not pointed out anything, so I don't need to go into many aspects of the election itself. And no documentary dispute. But what they have done, Your Lordship, is given a very circular reasoning, which I call a circular reasoning fallacy. A circular reasoning fallacy, which is actually an absurd reasoning. They have said that your intra-party election is okay, but the General Secretary who appointed the Chief Federal Commission, that is the person who conducted the election, was not properly appointed. And because the Federal Commission was not properly appointed, therefore the intra-party election is irregular. And because it is irregular, we do not accept this election. And because we do not accept the election, we will not give you the symbol. Huge jump, Your Lordship.
Yesterday, Mr. Makhdoom Ali Khan was arguing on the technical aspect, Secretary General and all that. And I made
हर मैदान में शेर ड्यूरोफोम प्राइस चैलेंज के सामने बाकी सारे मैट्रेसेस क्लीन बोर्ड, सबसे ज्यादा खूबियां, सबसे बेहतर कीमत, ड्यूरोफोम।
then everything follows. Then you get the symbol, whatever other requirements are. And if that is not, then you run into trouble. So that is at least, if I'm speaking, I speak for myself, my focus will be, if you're talking about democracy, then there must be democracy within political parties as well. So the whole conduct of the elections, not the fine aspects of the elections here as irregularity, but the fundamental point of an elections may not have complied with all the rules and regulations of the PTI's constitution, which is not really the concern of the courts, nor should be of the Election Commission of Pakistan. But the fundamental question cannot be ignored, that members had been granted a fair opportunity to file nomination papers, to contest the election, and there was a semblance of regularity. That much, overcome that much.
I've got that point. And
by simply saying 14 persons came as complainants and said, we are not being allowed to participate in the elections, to simply discard them by saying they are not members of PTI will not be sufficient, when at least for one of them, Mr. Akbar S. Ahmed, it has been admitted that he was a founding member of the party. Merely because you don't like what a person says does not mean that his membership ceases. unless you can show he resigned a political party, joined another political party, or went through some disciplinary procedure and was thrown out from the political party. So I don't know about the other candidates, we've not heard much about them, but don't just simply say they were not members of PTI. How would I know you are a member of PTI? You saying so, and they saying so, there must be some parameters within which one can objectively determine this fact.
Absolutely.
So if it is not added to this, and please hear this is also very important, you used the word mala fide in fact and in law. Various allegations, we don't try to be influenced by anything that is said on the media or social media, but your stance is that there is mala fide of fact and law before the court of law, the Supreme Court. Now you must show such mala fide, because a point which was raised yesterday by Mr. Makhdoom Ali Khan was the fact that, okay, now I'm not in government, now they are hounding me. He said, no, we had raised this point when you were in government. PTI was in government. ECP was a constitutional body and had called upon you to conduct your elections. This has gone back very far back in time when the PTI was in government. So surely, unless you are saying that ECP was so independent a body that even it was proceeding against those in government then, either you maintain that stance, that will undermine your stance that ECP has suddenly, the same persons in the ECP have suddenly turned subservient to whoever you want to allege. So, if it was suddenly been brought up, they've been pursuing this matter for quite a while. And before that, either you take the plea that the law of election, and mind you, Election Act has not been challenged, any provision thereof.
I will not.
So whether we will not comment on its constitutionality because it has not been challenged. It may be challenged tomorrow, and we don't want to, in these related proceedings.
I'm not challenging them.
So certain provisions were pointed out, then a person will just produce a piece of paper, I've held elections. And would that constitute elections? I'm not going into the nitty-gritty of the elections, mind you. I want to know the general, every election everybody complains. I mean, it's rare in Pakistan that nobody complains, but you see the general
broader picture.
So you understood what I mean?
I have bilkul understood. And I'm going to address that. I worked on it last night, and I will address both those questions. So, but for the present moment,
Will we start with the facts first? Then we come, if we can just start with the 14 members.
Destroy my scheme of arguments.
Okay, fine. Okay. Fair enough.
पेज 90 के ऊपर
आप जैसे चलें फिर आप चलें.
फेडरल इलेक्शन कमीशन का आपका शेड्यूल है पेज 90 पेपर बुक नंबर 1 में
जी.
तो ये आप जरा देखिए ना, इसके अंदर जो नॉमिनेशन और इलेक्शन कराने का तरीक़ेकार पेज 90
जी. हमने जो पेज 90
आपके नियाजुल्लाह खान नियाजी साहब ने 29/11/2023 को इशू किया
जी.
अगर आप इसमें देखें, नोटिस इनवाइटिंग नॉमिनेशन पेपर्स फ्रॉम पीटीआई मेंबर.
जी सर,
ये वही है 29/11
हो गया जी 29 को.
फिर नॉमिनेशन फॉर्म्स टू बी रिसीव्ड बाय रिटर्निंग ऑफिसर एट इस्लामाबाद जस्ट आफ्टर 2 days 1/12/2023.
करेक्ट सर.
अपील अगेंस्ट ऑब्जेक्शन और रिजेक्शन ऑफ नॉमिनेशन फॉर्म वो भी पहली तारीख ही, सेम डे ही नॉमिनेशन फॉर्म रिसीव किए जाएंगे, सेम डेट ही वो अपीलें फाइल हो जाएंगी. फिर डिस्प्ले ऑफ नेम ऑफ कंटेस्टिंग पैनल वो भी 1/12 ही है
जी.
फिर पोलिंग डे एट पेशावर खैबर पख्तूनख्वा, इसमें देयर इज नो वेन्यू मेंशन फॉर द इलेक्शंस, दैट इज ये भी 2/12/2023 को ही होगी. फिर डिक्लेरेशन ऑफ इलेक्शन रिजल्ट बाय सीईसी वो भी 2/12 को ही होगी. और नोटिफिकेशन ऑफ इलेक्शन रिजल्ट जो है वो 3/12 को होगी. जस्ट ट्राइंग टू अंडरस्टैंड यस्टरडे आल्सो कि जो आपका प्रोसीजर है इसके अंदर वो नॉमिनेशन फॉर्म कहाँ से लेने थे, वेयर वाज द वेन्यू मेंशन इन दिस, how to collect the form, nomination form, where the nomination form is to be submitted, because I also asked the question that how many members you have. I think it is more than 8,50,000.
जी.
तो इसके अंदर जो बात चीफ साहब भी आपसे कह रहे हैं कि वो ट्रांसपेरेंसी इलेक्शंस के अंदर थी, कौन लड़ सकता था कौन नहीं लड़ सकता था, बाय सिंपली सेइंग अब आपकी 15 कंप्लेंट वहां गई हैं ईसीपी में
जी,
ईसीपी में सो मोटो नहीं है ये एक्शन
जी,
somebody has filed complaints and the action was taken on the complaint not by ECP सो मोटो, आपके अपने सर्टिफिकेट 65 पे न्यू आई है, ये 15 कंप्लेंट फाइल हो गई वहां पे, तो अब उन्होंने देखा है इन सब चीजों को, तो उस पे हम ये पूछना आपसे चाह रहे थे ना कि ये किस तरह का प्रोसीजर था।
बिल्कुल, मुझे आई अंडरस्टूड द पॉइंट, आपका जो पॉइंट है,
क्योंकि जब आप लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड की बात करते हैं तो आपकी पार्टी में भी तो लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड
होनी चाहिए
ना, जब वो मेंबर्स को भी तो लेवल प्लेइंग फील्ड मिलेगी जो करना चाहता है इलेक्शन। जैसे चीफ साहब ने डेमोक्रेसी की बात की, तो मैं ये बात भी आप उसमें ऐड कर रहा हूँ कि उनको भी तो मौका मिलना चाहिए ना,
मैं
जीते हारे वो उनकी नसीब में इलेक्ट होते नहीं होते, और फिर सारा दारोमदार आपके अपने पीटीआई के कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन पे है, उसमें आपने इतना ट्रांसपेरेंट प्रोसीजर बनाया हुआ है कि वो दैट्स वेरी गुड कि आप उसमें सारी चीजें, बट इफ यू फॉलो दैट वुड बी ए बेस्ट ट्रांसपेरेंट इलेक्शन ऑफ एनी पॉलिटिकल पार्टी। अब वो बीच में लैकिंग नजर आ रही है, इसलिए ये सारे सवालात उठ रहे हैं।
बिल्कुल ठीक है सर, मैं आई गॉट दैट,
you may ignore the with respect to Mr. Makhdoom Ali Khan, he may get upset, but you may ignore the minor points. I mean, we are more focused on this, so I'm just telling you our mind, and we want to save time also.
I appreciate,
because you know every election we will find some this particular form not submitted, that thing not done. Okay. We will be charitable there.
ठीक जी, ठीक। So your lordship, my coming back to my point, so एक order है जो इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ पाकिस्तान ने किया जिसमें उन्होंने कहा कि होल्ड हुआ था, they have not pointed out anything in the manner the commission is concerned, they have no cavil with this. Your lordship has raised a question which I'll be answering with documents shortly, but for the time being the order does not say it. Now your lordship, they have done two things, taken away the not just declared this election void but also jumped and taken away the symbol. So एक चीज है कि आपका इलेक्शन,
वो तो हमने नोट कर लिया जी, आप प्लीज।
Now what is a symbol, sir?
I know, we know what a symbol is जी। No,
but a symbol, your lordship, is a fundamental right. I want to point out that a symbol,
when you say this, you'll have to back it up.
I will back it up.
We are not denying the importance of symbols. If you want to know, we realize the checkered history of Pakistan and how political parties have been hounded. So I think it started with the elections of the Pakistan People's Party, which let me just
उससे पहले भी जा सकते हैं,
बहुत पहले जा सकते हैं, at least when I was had I mean we can go to Ayub Khan and all that, वहाँ से भी जा सकते हैं, but जब पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज वाज़े तौर पे आ गई, अयूब खान का तो खैर आप वहाँ जाना चाहें वहाँ चले जाते हैं, मगर इन रीसेंट मेमोरीज एंड दोज पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज विच एग्जिस्ट टुडे, लेट्स पुट इट दिस वे, द फर्स्ट ब्रंट वाज रिसीव्ड बाय द पाकिस्तान पीपल्स पार्टी, द स्वॉर्ड वाज आई थिंक द सिंबल तलवार, फिर वो पहले नॉन पार्टी इलेक्शन ये वो वगैरह हो गया, फिर द सेकंड ब्रंट, then the parliamentarians and various other things, then the second brunt was the Pakistan Muslim League. But be aware of the fact who was in government then. Today, was there a Supreme Court which had taken PCO oaths, judges, any act will not be challenged. So we must bear in mind those were far, far, far more difficult times.
Yes.
There's no comparison. Maybe you can say, yes, it continues today. You may say so. But today, your opponents are not in government.
They're not.
We use the word casually, establishment. Why don't we use the word honestly, army? There does not apparently appear to be any interference. You may allege there is, but you know the overt kind of stuff, unless you point out, matters are coming, the elections are not being held. It was your own petition we argued, which we pressed it in 12 days. We got the date, you were happy, everybody was happy when. So access to courts is there. It's not that nobody allowed you to file. Making allegations on the media or outside unnecessarily undermines constitutional institution, which does not mean you should not make these allegations if they are true. Now, the very same election commission has issued you the notice to hold elections as far back when you were in government. Can you start from there? What was the malafide then? Please read that notice, the first one, because that, from a timeline point of view, that will be very important. Because if we have to gauge whether suddenly the euphemism that is used, establishment is weighing heavy on the election commission and doing something, we will certainly hear this. But then, how did they know then? When the very same establishment, surely it was not your allegation then that they were siding with the Election Commission of Pakistan. So if you're going to make it dramatic and political, then give the whole context or keep it legal. So if you're going to use, I respect every constitutional body. You said malafide in fact and law. Did we appoint them? You all appoint these people. We don't appoint them. So when you just throw an allegation is not acceptable because you don't serve Pakistan then. We need these institutions. We can make them better. If they're not doing their job, force them to do the job. That's our job. But we cannot take on their responsibilities because you'll be the first to complain. We will not take on the responsibilities of Parliament. As I have repeatedly stated, you will be the first to complain. Who is he? I'm the parliamentarian. I'll make the law. I want to. We'll judge the law, whether it's constitutional or not, and that's it.
बिल्कुल सही।
जरा से आप ये मैलिफिडे का जो आप एंगल अगर ले रहे हैं तो इसको सब्सटैंशिएट कीजिए।
मैं जिस तरह लूंगा,
चेंजेस द प्रिज्म कंप्लीट।